I grew up very fearful, very timid, low self-esteem, very unsure of myself. So music was not like a target.
A man with an interesting yet intentional upbringing.
Stima ikipotea tu hivi tuko choir practice. Yeah, that's my mom. Then she would carry me for choir practice either way. She's the first person I ever stepped on a stage with.
He is one half of the renowned musical duo, Amos and Josh.
Kumbe, I was talking to Bishop over here about going for TPF, and Amos was talking to him over there. But we had started singing in church because we were both now in LifePool. It was Bishop who told us, you guys sound very good together.
Theirs is a musical journey that would come with more questions than answers.
The pastor calls me and I'm like, Josh, unaimbaje wimbo mzima bila Yesu ndani? How?
For me, it was interesting. So I just wanted to see this transition. How do they balance from being at the pulpit?
Shifting ambitions that would be hit hard by the loss of a mentor.
Like, I remember Bruce, I'm like, okay, let me call him, let me see how he's doing. That's when I call him. He tells me he's been in hospital for over 30 days, he'd been sick. It really, really broke me. And yet, at the time of his passing, we were not relating as much. But I knew what we had lost.
For Joshua, this would be the start of a difficult season in his life.
I would be drinking here in Pipeline, then I walk kwa barabara as Josh, walk kwa barabara mpaka Imara Daima. Yeah, like I didn't care. At the time I was at I&M Towers, and I just felt, see you jump. I was, I think, at 17th floor. Then I got fear. Instead of getting like, I was like, what is that happening in my mind?
But above all, he never gave up. He remained steadfast and found redemption through our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ.
Even in his low moments, even when he was going through issues, I think we could tell he used to love God.
Family made it very easy. Family made it very warm and very welcoming. And I love the fact that LifePool Chapel is called the starting point. Sometimes you might have many starts, but you need to be able to embrace also the discipline that comes with the love.
Being that music was not top of his agenda at an early age, Josh paid more attention to his education.
I'm from the age where my parents would want me to do something else that they believe is more stable. And I to some extent, I was like, now grown up, I'm like, I wish I did that, because music is very volatile. And because it's emotion-based, it's season-based, it's not very stable, you know. So most people who you'd see them doing very well musically, they have some level of backing, especially in this country. So it was not at the top of my mind, but I would find myself in musical spaces. So as a child with my mom, the whole of my primary school, people didn't even know I could sing, because I never sang anywhere. I was in a very strict primary school called Olympic Primary School, where our motto was, you either pass or you pass.
He would later join Upper Hill School, and it is at this point that a career in music felt like a possibility.
I was short, dark and thin, so it was just a black short thing with pimples. Yani the ile recipe tu ya bullying. Yeah, you just look bullable. There's such a word. Unakaa tu unaweza bulliwa vibaya sana. So I had to join the loud crowd. So I was a top student in primary school. In high school, I gave that up, decided to join the loud crowd. So I joined the drama team because my cousin was in drama team. Then, while I was just doing my things, maybe, I think we started singing with some friends of mine behind the library. Then someone heard us when the walikuwa napita. That someone is BN. So when BN heard us, he pulled me into the music club. I wouldn't have joined the music club. So he pulled me into the music club, joined an a cappella group called Voice in the Light. So that's where I did most of my learning, my first learning after my mom. That was the next phase. My learning in music was in high school, in that a cappella group where we would go to sing in, we were like a golden group where we were carried for many functions, which was so cool. So YCS are going somewhere, you're there. CU are going somewhere, you're there. Junior Achievers, you're there. We're like the golden group. And napigiwa manduru mingi. So fame, the perks of fame started then. But my esteem was so low, I didn't really care much about it.
After high school, Josh got born again, and as he reflects, it was a humbling moment.
In my running after girls, Jesus used that. For real. Jesus used that because girls were like a measure of life for me. So after high school, some friends of mine tell me, hey, there's a group of young people meeting somewhere in Deliverance Church Umoja. There are some hot chiles there, so let's go and try to vibe. I get into that sitting. Yes, there are girls, but I don't see girls. I see more of myself. I remember how I feel about myself, how little I feel, because I'm also seeing other young men there, and I'm like, yo. I remember how much I've played in high school, so I know my results are just about to come out, and I know they will not come out good. So I see a lot of myself. And the second meeting, my friends don't show up, I show up alone. Again, I show up alone. Over and over, I just kept on going for those meetings. And the person is teaching there and he's talking things. I don't even remember what they were talking about. I don't know if it was important. I don't know. I don't remember. But at some point I was just like, because I've grown up in church, my mom, I'm in Leah church, so like Jesus was a foreign concept. No, not at all. So at some point I'm like, God, you know what? And now in high school, because of that chase of girls, going with what people are going for, I picked a lot of habits, I picked a lot of addictions, I picked a lot of things, you know. In my seat, I was just like, I'm giving you my life. You do with it whatever you please.
Salvation for Josh came at a point he was actively pursuing music as part of a group called Aziza, and this came with its own challenges.
The pastor calls me and I'm like, Josh, unaimbaje wimbo mzima bila Yesu ndani? How? Like, wimbo tu mzima hujaweka Yesu ndani aje? So I had to give up this. So I totally gave up, and it was such a hard thing because now I was getting into the wave, and I was getting to love it. I was now seeing it as a possible career. Now, while I'm in ministry, there are other groups that have gone before us that would also admire a lot. And that one of those groups was Kelele. Kelele was a group led by Bishop Welio Dendo, Bishop of LifePool Chapel. And one of the members, I think with the lead singers, was Amos. Remember, there's a day I was just sitting in church and they were practicing, and I was like, yo, this man can sing, this homie can sing. So that's the first time I met Amos. I met him while he was rehearsing for Kelele.
Josh and Amos would interact from time to time until they set their sights on the TPF competition.
So kumbe I was talking to Bishop over here about going for TPF, and Amos was talking to him over there. But we had started singing in church because we were both now in LifePool. Started singing in church. We never had ourselves like sounding better together. We just sang. It was serving, just serving. It was Bishop who told us, you guys sound very good together. Yeah, he's the one who put Amos and Josh together. It was not our sitting, our idea. He's the one who put Amos and Josh together. We struggled to look for a cool name. We couldn't find a cool name. So Bishop told us, see, there's Casey and Jojo, and those are their real names. So you just be Amos and Josh. And it sounded better as Amos and Josh. Josh and Amos sounds off. Yeah, it sounds off, yeah? So it sounds better as Amos and Josh. So, yeah, that's how Amos and Josh happened. Before that, Amos was just client wangu wa suti, nilikuwa nauza suti in my hustles.
The two later auditioned for the competition, and this would become the starting point of their musical career as a duo.
So first of all, he trains us daily for 3 months, and I mean daily. Training the day before, like the weekend, maybe, was it, I don't know if we went for audition on a Sunday or on a Saturday, I don't know. But the day before, he prays for us, anoints us with oil, with the other LifePool Chapel pastors, and then we go. Even the songs we sing, Bishop chose them for us. Because me nimetoka background yenye niliwachana na Sauti Sol na kitambo sana. So nikiingia huku, my playlist was Paul Wilbur. Si kwa hiyo playlist TPF aiendani na hii playlist. So we had to be introduced to music in a different way. It was a bit of turmoil for me. Now the understanding how the two worlds come together, but I decided to be led.
The church would back them, and they felt the love throughout the competition that apparently they had no chance of winning, but that did not deter them.
We used to pray on the stage before every performance. So other contestants used to wonder, what are these guys doing? So we would just go walk around the stage, speak in tongues, lie on the floor, like these people will receive us, nini. So every time we would walk out, like this was one of the comments that one of the judges made. Her name is Juliana. She said, you guys, you walk out and I feel like you're looking into my soul. So like would come walk out and you're looking straight at you. The place where people fear the most, that was the first place. And this is Bishop's training. That's the first place we go and look at. So we come sing to the judges first, then we go to the audience, then we go to the cameras. The finals were ilikuwa tough. That 5 million bob would have been nice. It would have been really nice. Those plans around that 5 million bob, but we knew. So it was disappointing, but it wasn't like something that heartbreaking. It was like, but it was not heartbreaking. We knew our goal.
Beyond the competition, the duo continued with music, and when Francis Masharia, alias DJ Smasher, met them, he was starstruck.
We came to LifePool Chapel in 2015. That's when I met him. He was actually just fresh from TPF. So for me, it was more of meeting a celebrity. So it was him and it was Amos and Josh. So I met them in church. So at that time, they were serving and praise and worship. And Josh also plays instrument in the drum and the keyboard. So that's when I met them. So we clicked at that time. So we started being friends from 2015 through small interactions hapa na pale. So by the time we were crossing over to 2016, we were very, very good friends. And that's when our friendship began. So we started hanging out together once in a while. With other friends, we grew into a small family. We used to call ourselves the Power Team.
At the time, the group were facing criticism over the music they were doing and still serving in church.
When we met, they had just done a few songs together, even in the industry. So for me, it was interesting. So I just wanted to see this transition. How do they balance from being at the pulpit, because it's not normally in our country. When we started hanging out together, I understand their character. So people might judge them otherwise, but for me, I understood them. What it was just a basis of what they were feeding from God, just expressing the love of God through their music. So for me, that's what I came to understand.
Amos and Josh would later come at a crossroads with shifting ambitions. Amos decided to leave, hence a separation for the duo.
Unakaa na watu inakuwa take something. Wezi kaa tu na watu na hujakunywa kitu. Now I'm back into the addiction again. So especially me, I got deviated a lot. So then I got into the aspect of, okay, if you are doing industry, then let's do industry. So nikasema acha niingie headstrong. So I was planning the showbiz, writing all sort of songs, okaying videos of all kind of manners. Kwanza kuna moja, it was just about to be released. Then Pastor Amos ran back to church. He was like, hey, kama tunatoa hii, wacha inipate. Na kaniambia me, since we get into this, wacha nisikue the reason I'm stopping you, because we had a lot of clashes then. He was like, man, tunaenda sana. We are going too far. We are deviating too far. But me, I'm like, let's go for the, if you are making this into a business, let's make it a business. Let's go for the money.
The loss of their mentor in music, Sir Bruce Odhiambo, also played a critical role in their separation.
At that time, because we are not even in the convergence of what God had put us to do, we find ourselves breaking relationships everywhere. So even our relationship with the late Bruce was not very good. At that time, kwa hizo kurandaranda zangu, I had gotten a child somewhere. So mi nimeget industry na nimeingia huko ndani. Then I remember I was in Coast and I'm just like, I remember Bruce, I'm like, okay, let me call him, let me see how he's doing. That's when I call him. He tells me he's been in hospital for over 30 days, he'd been sick. I'm like, and we had a very interesting relationship with Bruce. We did jingles with him, we did music with him, we did a lot of work with him. We were at IAAF, the youth championships. We did a lot of gigs. He was the one who did Machakos People's Park. We got to meet Governor Mutua through him. So he was an avenue that God had given us to go and now, a platform to go and now place his light on. But now you can take that place of learning and replace it for a father. And that messes things up completely. For me, it messed things up completely, because I got to a place where I was like, I want this guy's kind of lifestyle. When I heard he was sick, I was like, okay, so I'll find time to go and meet him. The next thing I hear, he has passed on. So it was in that period of we are not, Amos is back in church, me, I'm out there doing things. It really, really broke me. And yet at the time of his passing, we were not relating as much. But I knew what we had lost.
Now grieving and separated from Amos, Josh's life took a turn for the worse.
I started doing things not for purpose. I started doing things for survival, and also to prove to some extent that I can do things by myself. There's a lot of self in it. So so I started producing music that was, I think I just got one gig that was for campus people in Juja over there. Most of them were very, very drunk. I was also very drunk as well, as I got into heavy drinking. Now every other thing that Bishop had worked on, my family had worked on, was starting to crumble. How I handled relationships, remember I got a baby out there, so the relationship there went south and everything went down. We got kicked out of the house that we were in. My relationship with Pastor Amos became, I don't think we spoke for a very long time, for quite some time, because okay, tutapatana wapi? There's no place to relate really. I started working with clubs as an entertainment manager, worked with many clubs. Now the abilities that I had picked, even the building abilities, I was taking it there.
Josh got into heavy drinking, and with that came depression, to the point of contemplating suicide.
I would be drinking here in Pipeline, then I walk kwa barabara as Josh, walk kwa barabara mpaka Imara Daima. Yeah, like I didn't care. It's like nilikuwa tu alas wako. Ushaona alas wanastaga kwa street. I was just one of those people. I remember the time I was at I&M Towers and I just felt, see you jump. I was, I think, at 17th floor. Then I got fear. Instead of getting like, I was like, what is that happening in my mind? So I remember I started reaching out to my friends, and I know how to gather people in good moods and give them good vibes.
We used to visit one another, but for him it was more of sherehe. He was more into sherehe, and at some point I could see he was not okay. He was not okay. So it was at that time that I just started having those conversations with him. So when at some point we went to visit him in Imara, he was not okay. So we had conversations as we were Kama boys. So we had conversations with him and some of our friends, and he opened up. So he said he's not okay. His thoughts were suicidal. So we really got concerned. So I think it was at that time that now I knew I have to be there as a friend.
Francis remained true to his word, even as Josh fought to get out of the vicious cycle that had taken over his life.
I started coming to church on and off. I was on and off. I was still working with clubs. So you'd find that some Sundays, so I got some level of stability there. So I stopped drinking all my money. I stopped drinking all my money, started coming to church. Once in a while, I'm there. Going back, sometimes I come very hangover or drunk, nanuka tu pombe, mtu ananipatia chewing gum.
Huyo mtu amention wa kumpatia maswiti ni mimi, so I used to make sure nikimuonea mbali I had to make sure nijue hiyo smell in me, so I used to give him some sweets. And at that time he told me he was, even in his relationship with his family, it was not okay.
I felt life was very meaningless. I felt like I was on a hamster wheel. I'm just there too, running around, and maybe someone else feeding off that energy.
Josh got laid to this rent at some point, and this would become a critical moment in his life in that pursuit for change.
Our agent walikuwa ananisumbua. Then like, this is an opportunity to actually leave everything in Ruaka. Not that I can't pay, but I think there's a chance. So I left everything, which my friends were very pissed about because I had very nice furniture and they had plans with those furnitures. So I left everything. I went to live with one of my friends. His name is Francis Masha, DJ Smasher.
It first of all it reduced the pressure even in paying the bills, paying the rents, because we are family. So we started just living together. He got married, we lived together. I got married again, we lived together. So it's just, we build, for us the value of a community is more, and that's what we learn at our church.
Family made it very easy. Family made it very warm and very welcoming. And I love the fact that LifePool Chapel is called the starting point. It is not called one starting point, like they're giving you one chance to start. Sometimes you might have many starts, but you need to be able to embrace also the discipline that comes with the love.
After a period of fasting and getting close with God, Josh found redemption, and this saw him commit to church very intentionally. I
took very keen interest in just listening and observing, especially observing my friends who are still there, Kina Zach, manager for Amos and Josh for a long time, Pastor Amos, DJ Smasher. Like, I would watch them very keenly.
Even in his low moments, even when he was going through issues, I think we could tell he used to love God, and that's why he used to come to church. For him, he didn't come to church to play instruments at that time. It was just for us to push, to make sure he's somewhere. But he just wanted to come, sit down, listen, and maybe are happy. But I think that kept him rooted in his journey with God, and I think that's why it was easy for him to you've come back. So it's just the story of a prodigal son, remembering where your father is. As much as you took your inheritance, he remembered where his father was. And number one is just loving God, and just number two is having a voice in your life. As much as you could mix voices, I think he had a voice from our Bishop Willie Odendo. I think that's what kept him, because I remember one time he posted he posted him smoking shisha and Bishop saw his status and he asked him, "What's that in your mouth?" And he got sober at that time.
As Josh reflects, the path to recovery was not easy, and it is important to guard your heart.
The devil is very serious with his work because he knows he has a very short window. It's give him a small window, he will steal you very fast, kill you very fast, and destroy you completely very fast. So it's usually like a fast-paced thing that you might not feel it's going very fast, because the period that I was in church was before I had veered off was longer than the period that I was in the world. But the period, it had a lot of impact to the point that I was coming back to church. I had forgotten even to do the things that I was doing. You know, I was fearful again. I was timid again. I'm like, you mean you robbed all that in that short period of time that I was not even aware of? It's a blinding that he uses it completely, especially if you're marked, and we are all marked actually, especially because you are marked for greatness.
Today, in collaboration with DJ Smasher and other young people, Josh runs a church that stems from the book of Mark chapter 11, verse 22.
Faith is more than what we think it is. We think of faith as a moral compass, which is okay. Your relationship with God will not leave you the same way morally. It is out of that love for God that will change things for you. But faith is actually, the main reason for faith is fruitfulness. So that is what Bishop wanted us to also embody and bring to young people, where because what are some of the philosophies that us young people have been sold? We know you need to have money for you to have life, you know, or you need to have party for you to have life. Like, it's like life is far from you, unaendeaga life mahali, sindio? But now, faith is what actually helps you understand life is right within you. Life is right within you.
Evangelism is top of the list when it comes to what the church is involved in as they seek to reach the young people.
We found ourselves in the mandate of we want to go out more than anybody else. We want to go out on the streets, campuses, nini, we are going out sana. Within SRE Songa Fest, we've done +1 experience with Bishop Pandeza Kunaitwaje Uziru roundabout, were there. We did Chris Live. So we are part of now doing these things with the mandate of just going out there and displaying what faith in God looks like. And all these things, we are doing it from the anchor of faith. Nobody has a bank, a chest of dollars somewhere to make these things happen. It's just faith.
From their experiences spreading the word, it has become more and more clear as to why they need to engage the youth.
You can't do it by yourself. You need a community. You need people to guide you. You need the wisdom of God. That's why so many people are dying young, and we are wasting ourselves in so many things, in drugs, in alcohol, because we think. You see, your friends can do so much for you, but now there's another level that you have to come to, the level of fatherhood, where now you have someone who is guiding you, who has done, it doesn't have to be, people say experience is the best teacher, but I don't think so. You don't have to go through what I went through for you to learn. You can avoid that path. If I have gone through a certain path and I know how it goes, it's easier for me now to come and tell you, don't use this, let's try and use this. But now we want to experience it ourselves. Our fathers have gone through this, and they know so many things that happen. Let us listen to their wisdom. So just come to a place of being fathered and just place of community. And that's the best place you can find that is church.
In his pursuit of music in this new chapter of his life, Josh added a new alias to his identity.
It's a name I coined out of a period where I was really thinking about my manhood, who I am as a man, and we were learning about being men and all stuff. So it ended up meaning for me, man I love, where a man that I love. So, and I usually write it as man in capital I, small I, then big O. Reason being is I've come to learn that men build men. That's one. And one thing that will consistently build me is something that is very foreign probably in this country, but I think called honor, where I learn how to just honor those who are before me, honor my father, Bishop Elio Dendo. That will eventually, because authority comes from submission, it comes from honor. That gives me the authority of being, or even getting into the space that God wants me to get into.
There is a lot in store from Josh ManiO and the Amos and Josh duo that speaks into this new chapter of their lives.
Out of music, we want to communicate so many things that we have learned in our own personal lives, know how to package it and make it relevant to young people especially. In my own personal music, I like doing refixes for all songs. And my idea was, now thinking about church, I'm like, the way, if let's say we 1122 at the sanctuary, this is how I want us to do praise and worship. That's how, it's in that simple thought. I don't know if that is a valid thought, but it's just that simple thought. And I'm like, hey, this is a way I want us to do praise and worship. If we are doing Bwana Mungu wangu, I want us to do it in a certain way. So I've found myself in a space where I'm doing refixes, but it has also been a very nice communicating tool, because it is songs that we've grown with, but also you can put you can put more flesh to it and offer it out there, or relevant flesh to it and offer it out there. So that's my personal music. That's how I think about music. For Amos and Josh as a brand, we want to still do transcendent music, so we will talk subjects like love. I know Pastor Amos is also working on a book and music as well. I'm working on what I now want to call concepts. I want to write music through people and through their stories. There's a video that we have shot with a lady called Zion Jerry. I listened to her story, and out of people's stories, I want to be able to conceptualize music and write out of that.